Hello everybody and welcome back to another airport update, this time for the month of November 2024. Fortunately couldn't get one in last month for October just simply because I was busy with my job and I was sick for a good couple weeks, so my voice wasn't really up to standard, and yeah, just figured it'd be better to, instead of having a halfway mediocre update for October, I'd come out and go ahead and give you a better one for November, maybe even give you two this month if I'm feeling up to it. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. There's a lot in this update we need to get into, mostly including the expansion over here, but we'll get to that as we get to it. And today we're going to go ahead and start over at the cargo stand for this update. And on the cargo stands, this is a Friday afternoon update, so FedEx isn't currently over at the stands. However, we do have this Everett's Air Cargo McDonnell Douglas MD-80. This is operating an auto parts cargo charter flight. This came up from Laredo, Texas, and it will be heading up to Detroit YIP after its unloading and refueling is complete. As you can see, it's in the unloading process with some shipment crates of auto parts bound for various different auto parts stores and facilities within the city of Portsmouth, Ohio, being offloaded from the aircraft directly into the semi for their delivery. Now, that is the only aircraft on the cargo ramp, but as we can see behind it, we have a line of aircraft ready for departure. And just on a side note, there is the city of Portsmouth with their maintenance working on the approach equipment on the side of the runway. However, that does not put a hampering in operations, as right here on its final approach we have the Spirit Airbus A320. This just arrived in from Pensacola, Florida, which it will be heading back out to after the turnaround. Spirit operates flights to Pensacola and Fort Myers once per day round trip every day of the week except for Sunday. If I didn't say that in the last update, or if you guys just didn't remember. But yep, there you go. Very nice Spirit A320. This is an NG model A320. Very awesome model. I mean, Spirit's not the most beloved airline in the world, but honestly, I really dig the yellow and black. Really pops out in a world of mostly white airline liveries. And next we'll go on to the other aircraft in line for takeoff, starting with the Saab 340, former Eastern Airlines, now turned private. This aircraft is actually based out of the new Signature FBO, which is located at the airport. And this aircraft will be making a flight off to Teterboro in New Jersey, and it will presumably be coming back here to its home base after that flight to Teterboro. And next up in line for takeoff, we have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737 MAX in the Canyon Blue livery. This aircraft arrived in from Denver, Colorado, and that is where it will be heading back out to. Since the last update, Southwest has entered the market at the airport, and they fly once a day, every day, round trip, of course, to Denver, Colorado, and Baltimore, Maryland. And those routes are expected to stay, as the route is performing very well in lore, of course. It's a fictional airport. And expect more Southwest routes in the future, as these two that kicked off Southwest presence at Portsmouth continue to perform well. Southwest does plan to grow out of the airport, so look forward to that in future updates. Rambling aside, let's go ahead and move to the next aircraft in line for takeoff, this American Eagle Embraer E145. This is operating the Philadelphia rotation today. of course, coming from Philadelphia, and right now taxiing out for departure on runway 18 for the short hop back to Philadelphia PHL. Terminal A looking rather empty for the most part, although an American Eagle E145 just pushed back from gate A5. So, and of course, an empty gate A6. So we move on to gate A3, where we have this American Airlines, American Eagle, CRJ 200, operated by Air Wisconsin. This aircraft is flying the Washington Reagan rotation today. Came in from Washington Reagan and will be departing back to Washington Reagan after the bags are loaded and the aircraft is fueled. Moving right next door to gate A6, we have this United Airlines Bombardier CRJ 550. This aircraft is operating the Chicago Hare rotation today. And, of course, CRJ 550 operated by GoJet Airlines. And yeah, this is just currently pulling into gate A3 from Chicago, and it will be heading back off to Chicago once the aircraft is serviced. Moving next door to gate A3, A4 is currently empty, but there is a United 737 MAX inbound from Denver, which will fill that gate. Of course, not featured in the update because the aircraft doesn't arrive in the time frame of this update. But right next door, we do have some action at hard stand A1, where we have this Allegiant Airbus A320. This aircraft is currently operating a charter on behalf of the Shawnee State Bears football team. A real university in real life, but not a real football team in real life. They just... the school has other sports, but they just don't have football. But in this lore, in this case, they do. And they play Division I FCS football in lore, once again. And this aircraft is currently being loaded up with the team for their flight off to San Diego, where they're going to be playing San Diego University. And yeah, for their game tomorrow, this being a Friday afternoon update, so they're flying out west today to prepare for their football game tomorrow. And as you can see, baggage being loaded, and the buses have been pulled up to the plane with the team on board with their police escort, of course. And yeah, this aircraft will be departing as soon as it's all loaded up for San Diego. From the end of, well, Terminal A, we go to the newly expanded portion of the airport, which features a new 5-gate terminal as well as a new FBO, which is a signature location. Plenty of action over there that we'll get to, but I wanted to show off the new Terminal B, of course, with its new shiny gates and its new everything, basically. New pavement. Really like the way this all turned out with the pavement squares and all of the markings. I'm rather proud of myself. Not to toot my own horn or nothing, but yeah, we'll go to the street side view of the new Terminal B. You have arrivals, Terminal B, of course, departures, and with that you have a new parking lot and some green space and some chain link fence, which I got inspiration from another YouTuber. I can't quite remember his name right now, but he did a how to add extra details to your model airport video, and I got that metal fencing idea from him, so shout out. I'll probably put his name in the captions here. But very cool idea, and I really like the way it turned out. It really does look like barbed wire and metal fencing. But all that aside, let's go back and hop on to the air side of the terminal. And we'll start at gate B1. B1 and B2 are fully owned by Southwest. And so for the most part, you'll only see Southwest aircraft here. With their 2 flights of the day, and they're roughly around, they get here and depart around the same time. But of course, as Southwest gains a bigger presence out of here and increases some frequencies, that is, these gates are going to be full more and more often. But all of that rambling aside, we go to the Southwest 737-800 MAX in the new livery, which is at the gate. Well, now the standard livery. To me, it's still the new livery. They are currently being fueled and bags have been loaded. They're being fueled. Passengers are waiting to be loaded until fueling is complete. But this aircraft arrived in from Baltimore, Maryland, and that is, of course, where it will be turning around and heading back out to as soon as fueling and boarding is complete. Skipping over B2, that is where the Canyon Blue Southwest 737 MAX came from, over to gate B3 and 4, which are now Delta Airlines gates. Delta made the move from Terminal A to Terminal B because they're going to be increasing the frequencies and adding 2 additional routes out of the airport. Those routes being Salt Lake City, Utah, which will be serviced on the Airbus A220 family, and New York JFK, which will be serviced on the CRJ 900. Those will be featured in the next update, and the airport lore of those routes don't start until November 18th. So with that being said, if I have a second update later in the month, those routes and aircraft will be featured. But in the meantime, we do have the Delta Airlines Boeing 717 being loaded up with bags. And this aircraft arrived in from Atlanta ATL, and that is where it will be heading back off to once all of these services are complete. Atlanta is now fully serviced on the 717 with 3 daily frequencies, and it is no longer a connection route. It's kind of going in the path of the real-life Dayton International Airport in Dayton, Ohio, where I want to say like 99% of their flights to Atlanta are on the 717 now, rather than the occasional CRJ. I mean, I do see a CRJ 900 on the route every now and then out of Dayton, but for the most part, it is the 717 now. And as I base most of the regional traffic for Portsmouth actually off of Dayton, I decided to go ahead and make that change for PTS as well. But all that aside, let's go ahead and hop from B3 over to B4, where we have this Delta Airlines CRJ 700 on pushback. This aircraft operated by Endeavor Air. This aircraft is being pushed back for a flight up to Detroit, Michigan. Of course, as per most of the commercial flights today, that is also where the aircraft came from. So yeah, they're going to be making the short hop up to Detroit. The CRJ 200s are unfortunately all gone now, for I believe in real life and for this fictional model airport. So no more Delta CRJ 200s, which is unfortunate. They are a nostalgic aircraft for me, but CRJ 700's next up on that list, so I mean, can't complain there. I've always been I wouldn't say I've always been a CRJ guy, but they've kind of grown on me over the years. But anyway, Delta CRJ 700, operated by Endeavor, came from Detroit, being pushed back for a flight back to Detroit. And that'll do it for Terminal B. B5 is the Spirit Airlines gate. And Spirit's schedule out of the airport's kind of staggered in a way that the 2 flights from Pensacola and Fort Myers are, one comes first, or Pensacola comes first, and then Fort Myers comes right after Pensacola departs, so that at any given point there's only one Spirit aircraft on the ground here at PTS at any given time. But Spirit also has the option to use gate B4 if a situation were to arise where both the flights were on the ground at the same time, whether it be delays for any reason or cancellations. So yeah, Delta and Spirit both share B4, but B5 is solely Spirits and B3 is solely Deltas. But yeah, so far, just to cap it off, Terminal B is serviced by Southwest, Spirit, and Delta. And over at Terminal A, it remains American, United, and any charter flights that may arise that require a jet bridge or just a hard stand in general that the new FBO won't be able to handle. And speaking of the new FBO not being able to handle, the Allegiant Area 320 would be at the FBO, but because of a special visitor over here, which you may have seen already, Allegiant had to come over to Terminal A today. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop over to the FBO to cap off this airport update, and we'll leave the most exciting for last. We'll start over here with the King Air 350i, which is currently being fueled for its flight up to Cleveland Lakefront Airport, BKL, Burke, of course. And next to that, we have a GPU being pulled up to this Pilatus PC-12. This aircraft came in from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and it will be departing off to Indianapolis, Indiana, after its passengers show up for the departure. Next to that, we have this blue Gulfstream G650. This aircraft arrived in from the Gulfstream hub of Savannah, Georgia. And this aircraft will be making a flight off to Long Beach, California later today. Right next door, actually, we'll save this for last. Over here, being fueled, we have a maroon and white Gulfstream G650. This aircraft arrived in from Mobile, Alabama, Mobile Regional Airport, that is. And this aircraft will be departing for Houston Hobby down there in Texas after it is fueled and the passengers arrive. And finally, it is political season, and by the time I'm recording this, the election has ended. But I really wanted to at least include this special aircraft in one update, that being the 737-800 of Eastern Airlines in the Trump Vance Make America Great Again livery. This aircraft arrived in with J.D. Vance on board from his hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. It came from Cincinnati Lunken Airport, and he's just in town for a short campaign event, and he will be departing back to Cincinnati Lunken Airport. As you can see, the motorcade has arrived, and he will be loaded up on the aircraft, and they will be departing back to Cincinnati very shortly. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the aircraft covered for today's update. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the new expansions, the signature ramp and Terminal B with all of its glory. And yeah, if y'all enjoyed, of course, be sure to like, comment, and if you haven't already, for whatever reason, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next update. Like I said, I'm going to try to put out a second one for this month, including all the new routes that are coming for Delta. And I'm going to have an additional route from Spirit to Las Vegas at the end of the month. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.